हरि जय राम कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन भज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन यशोदानंदन भज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन भज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन भज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन भज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी वनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा गोपी जन वल्लभ राधा गोपी जन वल्लभ राधे जया निताय पतित पावन गौरारी जया निताय पतित पावन गौरारी जया प्रभुपदा जया प्रभुपदा जया प्रभुपदा शिला प्रभुपदा शिला प्रभुपाद की जय समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोकैर्भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. We are reading verse. Give me 1 second. 50, 54, 51, 50. Reading text 51. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot my glasses. I will have to rely on the laptop. Tatastena nu vidyebhyo. Yes, Bhaji. Not visible. It's not visible. We'll repeat. Tetastena nu vidyebhyo. Yuktebhyondam acetanam. Uthitham purusho yasmat. Udati sthat asau virat. Tatastena vidyebhyo. Yuktebhyondam acetanam. Uthitham purusho yasmat. Udati sthat asau virat. One more time. Tatastena vidyebhyo. Yuktebhyondam acetanam. Uthitam purusho yasmat. Udati sthat asau virat. Tatastena vidyebhyo. Yuktebhyondam acetanam. Uthitam purusho yasmat. Udati sthat asau virat. We'll read the translation. From these 7 principles, I'll move this here. From these 7 principles roused into activity and united by the presence of the Lord, an unintelligent egg arose from which appeared the celebrated cosmic being. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In sex life, the combination of matter from parents, which involves emulsification and secretion, creates the situation whereby a soul is received within matter. And the combination of matter gradually develops into a complete body. The same principle exists in the universal creation. The ingredients are present, but only when the Lord enters into the material element is matter actually agitated. That is the cause of creation. We can see this in our ordinary experience. Although we may have a clay, water, and fire, the elements takes the shape of a brick only when we labor to combine them. Without the living energy, there is no possibility. I'll repeat, sorry. Without the living energy, there is no possibility that matter can take shape. Similarly, this material world does not develop unless agitated by the Supreme Lord as the Virat Purusha. Yasmat udattistar asau Virat. By his agitation, space was created, and the universal form of the Lord also manifested therein. We'll seek all of the blessings. Om Agyanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sham Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hukum karoti vachalam, pangum langayate girim, yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam, Paramananda Madhavam, Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. We welcome you all for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Extremely sorry for the disappointment. You must be expecting His Grace Sham Kishore Prabhu. He gave me this service, so I'm grateful for this opportunity. So, but at the same time, beg forgiveness for any of my shortcomings. And before we recite Srimad Bhagavatam, I want to seek blessings at your lotus feet so that we can actually, with today's discussion, realign the goals of our life. How can we move ahead with crossing over such an unsurmountable ocean of material world? So we are reading from 3.2651, very complicated topic, Sankhya Yoga. Now I was just thinking while coming, Sankhya, the other pronunciation can be Sankhya. Sankhya means math. My qualification, I'm a 12th failure. I had to clear the 12th standard in second attempt just because of the math. And I'm given the topic of Sankhya Yoga, right? So please forgive me for my incapability to speak. Here it is beautifully mentioned. I'll read the translation again. From these 7 principles, roused into activity and united by the presence of the Lord, an unintelligent egg arose from which appeared the celebrated cosmic being. Please accept my humble obeisances, bro. Please correct me if I go here and there. This is a high topic for me. Prabhupada is beautifully explaining about when we hear in Bhagavad Gita, there are 3 energy. One is internal energy, external energy, and marginal energy. Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, and Tathastha Shakti. So here, how this material world manifests is being referred here, and Prabhupada clarifying the elements could exist. But Prabhupada gave an example about for a child to be born and mother and father have to come together for a brick to be formed. Even the ingredients are there, but someone has to do the labor of building the brick, right? So similar way, the elements of material world exist. Material world is created, but it is dull. It is as good as dead until Lord personally comes and touches or impregnates the material world, and then it comes into the action, right? So I remember many years back, some of these experiences, some of the questions are so deep within our heart. So one devotee asked the question to my Shiksha Guru. I don't remember which chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Please forgive me for my short memory. He was talking about if marginal energy is superior to external energy, how is it possible that we come under the influence of material energy? And I was like, wow, that's such an intelligent question, because I never realized that. And then we all know the reason, which is when we come in association of material nature and we identify ourselves with the body, mind and intelligence and false ego, we come under the influence of external energy. Now here, a lot of times there is a question in terms of why should I read about material energy? At the end of the day, I have to cross over. That's the whole idea. So actually in the same chapter is being spoken in verse 2. Lord Kapila is saying the knowledge is the ultimate perfection of self-realization. I shall explain that knowledge unto you, by which the knots of attachment to the material world are cut. See, to decode any formula, to decode the formula, scientists do, you need to understand what is the formulation, what are the ingredients needed for that thing, and that's the only way you can decode that, right? So it is very important for us to understand how the material nature is working, so that when we are bewildered by material energy, with this knowledge, with this torch of light, we can actually disseminate, we can at least try to realize, what am I doing, right? So here, without Lord's presence, even the material energy cannot work. I was I want to quote actually from few classes which I've been hearing. I was hearing the class from His Holiness Kadamakanand Maharaj. He beautifully covered, I'll cover some of these topics. He mentioned this point: the material elements, they may collect together, but without the arrangement of Supreme Lord, they won't set into a motion, right? The body is actually dead. Actually, the body doesn't have a death, body doesn't have a birth, right? Because at the end of the day, it is the body's existence is as long as there is a soul within it. So who is the soul for the whole material creation? It is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without he entering into the material nature, though he is above the material nature, it is impossible for this material nature to act, material nature to come into an action, right? So here he was beautifully mentioning about the soul is the cause of life. Soul in conditioned state. Now this is very important, and that's where today's discussion is around. Soul in the conditioned states, the mind takes over the work of the soul: thinking, feeling, and willing. What are the three things mind does? Thinking, feeling, and willing. He quoted Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, beautiful analogy. He said, like a person wearing the dress of a peacock may appear like a peacock, but it's not a peacock, right? Similar way, the mind behaves like the soul or takes over the soul, thinking that I'm the peacock, right? But that's not the reality, because the soul is Sat Chit Ananda, right? This material world is exactly opposite, or the conditional state actually takes us from Sat Chit Ananda to Asat, Achit, and what is opposite to Anand? Niranand. Thank you, Prabhuji. Right? So what happens is, now because the pure soul, which is actually Sat, form of Sat Chit and Ananda, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss, and now we are conditioned. Now, it is fair to say, if I am a pure soul, I can try to experience such Chitan Ananda. But when I'm in the conditioned state, I cannot experience that, because the material world, what is the identity of the conditioned nature? That I am the body. And body is the creation of material world. And material world is exactly opposite of Sat Chitan Ananda, which means I can never experience Ananda here. So what we try to do here in the material world, I'm trying to remind myself, what I'm trying to do in the material world, I am trying to enjoy the matter, which is dull in nature. The soul is pure in nature. However, I try to search for pure thing in the conditioned state, because I cannot experience Satchidan Ananda in the matter, because matter doesn't have that, right? I was thinking about what are examples in Srimad Bhagavatam which actually tells about this thing. A person trying to enjoy the material world, thinking that the mind lets the conditioned soul think that now I can enjoy the material world, and the material world just frustrates us from beginning to the end. I was hearing the class of my spiritual master. Amazingly beautiful title and wonderful class. It's a 2-series lecture. Wake up, stop dreaming. I was just thinking about this title itself is so in connection with the verse we are talking about. What is the conditioned state? That I'm dreaming. This body is mine, this property is mine, these relatives are mine. I'm doing XYZ, I'm doing this service, I'm this so-and-so designation, right? In this beautiful lecture, one of the most important experience which is so core to my heart, I want to share. Maharaj was talking about many years back, he went to Italy, in Venice. A lot of us may have heard about this, but this is so core to my heart, and I want to share this because this is so enlivening. So Maharaj was mentioning, it was extremely hot there. There was no rain for many days, many months. So the Pope of that country actually announced that you pray to the Almighty Lord so that this heat can go down and the rain happens, right? Because people were dying out of the heat. So these devotees decided we will do Harinam Sankirtan. So they were doing Harinam Sankirtan in Venice, Italy. Now, before even we go there, I just want to share about it, because when we start directly talking about the problems, we cannot understand how I landed there. So Maharaj was beautifully mentioning that Venice is such a place. Now we see there are so many road construction going on. There is so much traffic. For the same place you have to go, rather than 10 minutes, you have to reach in 20 minutes or 30 minutes. You think that in the summer I can go out and enjoy, but the traffic sucks. And then you get tired with this. And then by the time you reach there, you are already tired. So he was mentioning, in Venice, there are no vehicles. There are no roads. There are boats. People walk, people go on that boat. No accidents, no road signals and all that stuff. So it's a comfortable situation. Very beautiful place. Beautiful water. Now in that situation, what is happening is, now this is a drought situation. Really hot summer. So devotees are doing Harinam Sankirtan on the street for hours and hours and hours and hours. And then somehow or the other, they are figuring out any book or something. They are just somehow giving some air to them, right? So finally, throughout the entire day, they were doing Harinam Sankirtan, and finally they reached to an island. They reached to the island, and there was actually a beautiful ocean across that island. So they all sat on the boat. This is still very hot. They sat on the boat and they are rowing. And Maharaj asked them how much time. They said it's at least another hour, because it's on the other side of the island, so it takes time. So they reach there. By this time, the evening has happened. Sun is about to set. And interestingly, there is a beautiful breeze going around. Now imagine a situation. We were just talking about Nirjala Ekadashi day before yesterday, right? The importance of water you realize the next day of Nirjala Ekadashi, because you didn't drink the water and now you realize. Imagine the similar situation here, extremely hot, and you are basically just sweating. And I was just thinking about devotees yesterday working super hard, scraping all that the mud and then the weeds and all that stuff and putting it. By the way, it looks really beautiful from the far away when I was coming. I just want to share, Prabhu. That's wonderful service. So they reach there and sun is about to set and it's a beautiful beach. Very beautiful beach. And the breeze is going around. And the moon has come. It's a full moon night. And now devotees, when they touch the water, it is cold, amazingly beautiful. Like cold, not exactly super cold, but it's perfect for the summer weather. And then all the devotees go in like relishing, wow, this is such a beautiful water. Wow, finally. And then everybody's thinking this is great. All of a sudden, people start making noises. They are making some noises. And then Maharaj is looking at them, and within few minutes, Maharaj was mentioning, even I started making those noises. So Maharaj was mentioning, saying that, these devotees from Italy, they were speaking the word Madhusa, Madhusa. Maharaj said, I didn't know what the term means. So one devotee said, starfish. Jellyfish, sorry, not starfish, sorry. Starfish, not a problem. So I just had one experience when the jellyfish, I don't know how many of us experience that, jellyfish when they bite. I was in Sydney. I was in Krishna consciousness, very neophyte. So myself, we went to a beach. And I must tell you, if you see the beaches of Australia, you will forget about all the beaches here. It's so beautiful. So we went in, very beautiful beach. And this jellyfish bit. And I have no idea. I never heard about it. I never heard Maharaj's class before. I'm like, what is that? And I see a thread just around my leg and I'm trying to remove it. And even when I touch the finger, it hurts my finger also. I'm like, what the hell is going on? But I got out because it wasn't that hot. So I got out. And it was extremely painful for both of us. We didn't know what to do. First and foremost thing, we did not understand what happened exactly. And then some person told us, this is because of the jellyfish and all that stuff. So anyway, these devotees are now, the jellyfish is biting them. Now here's a confusion. If I go out, it's hot. I'm in such a wonderful state in the water. Should I go out or should I stay in? Right? I just want to pause here. I want to add some realization here. Isn't this our situation is? We are in material world. Maya is beating us left and right. Boss is giving us left and right. Sometimes our family members are giving us left and right. Sometimes our neighbors are giving left and right. But I want to stay in this material state. Oh, this is so cool. Right? So these devotees, after so much of suffering, they decided to come out. So these devotees came out, and this is the crux of the story actually. Well, the whole story is great, but this is very interesting. At least I can connect to myself with that situation. So these devotees finally come out. There are new devotees coming to the beach. And they see this beautiful ocean. They see this full moon. Wow, water. And these devotees, don't go in. It's jellyfish. Now these devotees are looking moon. This is beautiful ocean. Hey, I just want to go. And they'll end up going there. And they experience definitely the same thing like other experience. Similar way, we feel this is not going to happen to me. No. This is such a beautiful material world. I'm living in the heavenly planet. We feel in states, I'm living in heavenly planet. I will have all my issues solved. I'll get a green card. Once I get a green card, then my kids don't have to go through difficulty. And then the same kids give you trouble. They put you to the old age home. Hey, I did so much of work for you. And now I'm landing into an old age home. Or whatever state it is. Right? So we work so hard thinking that I am at a perfect place and this is not going to happen to me, and unfortunately that happens to us. I have tons of realization to share on that. But considering the time, I want to come back to the story. So these devotees go in, and they also being bit by the jellyfish. Now, devotees have been doing this harinam for hours and hours. The plan was there is going to be a beautiful Italian prasad coming right there where they were. And now, where is the prasad? So they were told it hasn't even reached to an island, which is 1 hour far. So they don't know where the prasad is. In the meantime, those bites which jellyfish did, they are hurting really bad. And again, I don't want to cover that aspect of the story. So I'm suffering, but thinking that I'm going to get the prasad. Immediately reminds me of that person hanging on the tree. There are 2 mouses, one is white, one is black. There is an elephant which is trying to remove the tree from with this trunk. He's trying to remove the tree altogether. And there are snakes underneath that. If this guy falls down, not this guy, if I fall down, then I'm going to be bit by the snake. And there is a honeycomb up on the tree, and there is honey dipping, thinking that this is going to give me the pleasure. Right? This is a similar thing we go through in our material life, thinking that my life is going to go the way I planned it. Right? Within days, within minutes, the life changes. Nobody expects what is going to happen. Everything is whatever you planned, like a sand house which we build near the ocean, is gone within fraction of seconds with the waves. Right? There are other 2 stories where are beautifully being spoken about how insignificant are and how miseries, all 3 kind of miseries, give us left and right. Right? So there is an example about King Puranjana in Canto 9. Very, very insightful story. So King Puranjana is a very beautiful, handsome guy. He's a king. And Urvashi is being cursed from the heavenly planet to go to the material world. Right? Now, when she is coming to the material world, she is thinking, even in the material world, I want the best bet, right? And she sees King Puranjana. Pururava, sorry, Prabhu, thank you. Puranjana is another mind-blowing story. So Pururava, she's thinking, I want to get married to him, and then whatever time I have cursed to finish, I'll just stay with him. He's a handsome young man. So she comes and she offers him. And Pururava, when he sees, he is extremely amazed. Wow, you are so beautiful. And he agrees with the proposal. And he keeps enjoying. Now, the time has come, Urvashi has to go. So now she asks, she puts 3 conditions. She puts 2 conditions. Sorry, forgive me about the number. I'll spell that out. She said that I should never see you naked outside when we are mating together. Second thing is, I have heavenly lamps which they should never extinguish. You need to make sure they are like my child. You have to take care of them. Now, Urvashi is not coming, and Lord Indra arranges a plan. So he sends 2 Gandharvas. What these Gandharvas do, they steal the lamp. And then when they steal the lamp, and this guy sees, and then Urvashi gives him left and right. What are you doing, rascal? Don't you see they are stealing the lambs which are like my sons? Why don't you take care of them? So he runs without realizing that he's not wearing clothes. So he goes out, and this is another class by His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. So now this guy goes out and then goes there. And by the time they realize, and these Gandharvas trying to go away, but because these Gandharvas are so effulgent with their light, they illuminate everything. And then Urvashi sees him naked and then gives him left and right. I told you, don't you have a sense? You should wear at least the clothes. With that, she decides, I want to go back. and Urvashi leaves. Now that is the nature of material world. Oh my goodness, I can't reciprocate. I cannot convey the same way my spiritual master was conveying, because he is realized soul. He mentioned sense gratification is like an itch. The more we itch, we feel that it is going to get me away with this itching sensation, but it basically creates more problem. So now, because he enjoyed King Pururava, he's not different. Actually, he's trying to represent our mindset, our conditioned state. That's what we have been talking about. And now he is so crazy to actually get Urvashi. And now he's just running here and there, just searching for her. It's like almost a madman. And finally he comes to a Kurukshetra and he sees Urvashi sitting with another 4 men. And he bows down, hey, I want to enjoy. Please, you come back to me. And Urvashi preaches him, hey, you should not be attached to something which is temporary in nature. He doesn't understand that. Right? That is the nature of the mind. When it wants something, if it is not controlled, if it's not resisted by the intelligence, it just takes everything away from us. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if one of the roaming senses, they can actually distract everything, all the other elements of including the soul, they basically distract everything. Right? So here, this guy is so crazy. Urvashi says, okay, once in a year, I'll come and I'll give you one child. And he is, oh, wonderful. So he's waiting for the entire year. She will come, she'll come, she'll come. And finally, when she comes, he wants to enjoy as much as possible. But now he is feeling the separation because she is leaving. Now, this 365 days of waiting is killing him. So he decides, he again prays to Urvashi, and Urvashi tells him that you go to this place. I forgot the whole story, but basically she offers a woman who exactly look like that. He thinks that she's Urvashi, but over the time, while he enjoys with her, he realizes she's not Urvashi. So he gets to know that to reach to Urvashi, I can perform the yajna and I can live on the same planet where Urvashi is residing. So he does that tapasya and he ended up reaching there. And Maharaj was specifically mentioning, this is where the canto ends. But further down the line, it clarifies, he realizes, hey man, what am I doing? Why am I wasting my life? And then he comes to his senses and practice devotional service. Right? Why these examples are so extremely important in our life, that whether I renounce voluntarily, I wouldn't use the word renounce, whether I voluntarily surrender or whether I'm forcefully surrendering. People like me are not voluntarily surrendering, then Maya gives left and right. Now you have to learn. Do you want to come back to senses and understand what do we have in our hand? What is the beautiful process do we have in our hand, which can perfect our life and take us back to Godhead? Right? There is another story which is being mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam about Avanti Brahman. This is Canto 11. There is a beautiful drama by Radha Gopinath community on that. So Avanti Brahman is a very, very rich Brahmana. But one thing which he has, he is a miser Brahmana. He wants to collect and store, collect and store, collect and store. Doesn't want to spend money. He's such a miser that everyone, his family members around him, the villagers, everyone is so frustrated with him. But he feels, oh, the world is going great. I'm just living I, me, and mine life. So the life goes on like that. And it happens by the power of time. His family members leave, thinking that, oh, he just kicks them out actually. And then by the power of time, all his opulence is gone. Whatever money he had, that was stolen. Whatever farms and other places, the godowns he had, they were burned. And now the collector is there for the taxes. He didn't pay for 10 years because he was just saving in his savings account or whatever it is, which is stolen now. So now he's being thrown out of his house also. Now, while he was thinking, why, what is happening to my me, thinking that, oh, you know, what a miserable shape I am in. At that time, he gets the self-realization that it is not because of my karma. It is not because of the matter of time. The happiness or distress, which apparently looks like which apparently are the dualities of this material world, are caused by the mind. Mind thinks that this is favorable to me, this is unfavorable to me. The whole business of mind is thinking, feeling, and willing, which we have been talking about. And at that time, he raises his consciousness to practice devotional service. The same people whom he troubled gives him trouble now. The prasad he finally got, whoever he would beg door to door, and whoever gets prasad, somehow he gets the prasad, they will put urine in that prasad. But in spite of that, now the same person who was just not tolerating anyone but is tolerating everything. Why are we talking about this story? The power of time, the power of Maya, she doesn't spare us. We don't have strength to fight with her. What we have is the shelter of the association of devotees and seva. I want to end with one more realization or one more story which I heard, not from Srimad Bhagavatam. In Japan, people are fond of eating fishes. So the big companies were trying to go far away to get the fishes and bring it and sell. But the market is going down. The fishes are not being sold because they are not fresh. So they decided the next idea, they will put it in the water tank, put the fishes, they are still alive, and they'll get them out and sell it, and that's it. But what they realize is the fishes are still dying. So they built bigger tanks. That because fishes are colliding with each other and they are dying. So they built bigger tanks. But in spite of that, they were dying. Why? Because they were not able to move sufficiently. So now what do we do? Because they will just go, they will stay there. So they put the shark within that water tank. Because the shark will eat the fishes. So the fishes are continuously running around so that the shark doesn't eat. So shark may eat a couple of fishes. And this worked. Because now the fishes are fresh. They come out and they basically gain the market back. Now, what is the significance? We definitely don't eat fishes here. We talked about, I was just hearing the vows in the initiation which happened in Sadhu Sangha. We are like those fishes. The shark is like the Maya or time, is always trying to catch us, always trying to bite us, to take away our life, and we are always running. That is our situation. The material world, and this is very, very important point Govind Prabhu mentioned, material world doesn't spare anyone. Whether I'm a devotee or I'm not, I'm still not a devotee. Whether I'm a 16 rounder, 32 rounder, 64 rounder, whether I'm doing Nirjala Ekadashi, whether I'm doing other austerities, Maya doesn't spare anyone. So who takes the responsibility? I take the responsibility that I want to practice devotional service with such an intensity that I fly at such an altitude where the problems are still there, but they look smaller. It's a theoretical realization from my end, especially when we go through suffering. Now, for different people, interestingly, the Maya works differently. For a person who just stuck thorn in the leg, for him, that is as painful as the other person who's suffering from cancer for many, many years. He feels, I have the same problem. I have the same issue. Right? That is the power of material energy. So coming back to that story, that Maya is really strong. She's always trying to find out an opportunity to catch us. One joke to end with is, we all know about Tom and Jerry. So one time the Jerry was introduced. Hey, how is that the Tom can never catch you? And most of us would have heard it. So the Jerry replied, Tom runs for the food, but I run for my life. Until we realize I'm running to save my life, and there is no other shelter than Krishna. There is no other shelter than the services I have. There is no other shelter than my Guru. There is no other shelter than the holy name. There is no other shelter than reading Srimad Bhagavatam. There is no other shelter than hearing Krishna Katha. There is no other shelter than the association of devotees. Unless we realize that, unfortunately, we will end up going through the experiences either Pururava went through, or there are many other examples. I did not quote Puranjana's story. That is even more painful. That's an allegoric story, but very, very powerful story being narrated by Srila Narada Muni. So we will summarize what we spoke in today's class. This material world, when the creation happens, the material world that exists, but it is dull in nature. The Lord has to personally agitate the material world to get into an action. Similar way, the mind, when the soul comes into the conditioned state, identified itself to the body, and then thinks Sat Chit and Ananda, tries to experience those things in the material nature, we will not get it. With the power of time, we make things even worse by performing more karmic activities, which makes us to the cycle of birth and death. And we took an example about devotees going to the ocean, thinking that I'm going to enjoy, thinking that, oh, finally I got some relaxation, but even devotees are not spared. We talked about King Pururava's story, who was trying to enjoy this material world, but that just gave him suffering. And we talked about Avanti Brahman, who was in a good shape, but with the power of time, everything was taken away. So the takeaway for today's class is, how do I develop surrender? Do I want to actually do voluntarily, or whether I want it forcefully? Please forgive me if I said something wrong. I don't have any realization. I spoke from the classes which I've heard, and it is said we should not speak something we haven't realized. But I want to actually develop the habit of working on that aspect. So seek all of your blessings so that I can work and realize this is one prayer. Krishna, I made a mistake. I realize it now. I want to come back. The more sincerely we pray that, I was hearing after the Yajna ceremony, Nityanand, I forgot the name. He is the disciple of Tamal Krishna Maharaj. I went to him, and there was something going in my mind. He shared a beautiful point. Krishna is so merciful. And that gave me so much of solace, that he is more eager for us to come back to the spiritual world than us going back there. Only thing which is separating us from that destination is our desire. Thank you so much. La Prabhupada ki jai. Any comments here? Sorry, bro. I'm like a kindergartner speaking in front of you. Please forgive me. You want to add something here? You want to add something? Thank you. Are there any questions or comments online? Oh, thank you for Prabhuji clarified. Pururava got the Paramatma realization. I couldn't hear. Sorry, Prabhuji. Hmm. Hmm. Huh. Huh. Amazing, Prabhu. Thank you for clarifying. And for those devotees who couldn't hear, Prabhuji actually beautifully shared. Bhagavatam doesn't end with, like the movie, always happy and something. So Pururava goes there, and finally in the Canto 11, when Krishna is giving the Uddhava Gita, that's where the story comes in there. Again, thank you, Prabhuji, for clarifying. The ninth canto. Yeah. Haribol. Thank you for clarifying. Wow. Thank you, Rosie. Any comments here online? Okay.
Prabhuji, wonderful class, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveda Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Very nice class. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.